Welcome to the woods. It's been a pleasant morning, just tinkering. A few odd jobs to get done, but they're done, and I thought I'd sit down, have a coffee, and have a chat. In 8 days, the Woodlander Initiative goes live on the website, and I hope all of you will get involved. What I wanted to talk about today was freedom. It's a word we hear quite a lot of, especially over the last 3 years. It's been something that's been talked about, pondered, questioned, and it means different things to different people, I suppose. When I was younger, I used to hear a certain phrase quite often. I used to hear, it's a free country, I can say what I want. And sadly, that's no longer true. The rules, regulations, legislation that have been added over the years have led us to a point where I think we're all aware that we're not free to say what we want. That in fact we're very restricted on what we can say, insofar as your opinion that you're allowed to voice has to go along with the consensus. It has to follow the government line. They will no longer brook dissent. And if you have an opinion which differs from theirs, and you voice that opinion, these days you're liable to find yourself imprisoned. And that's quite a frightening prospect. Most of you will be aware of the hate speech laws that have just come into place in Ireland, and how they are limiting not only what you say but what you think. In the UK we have the Online Safety Bill, formerly the Online Harms Bill, which is going to limit drastically what you can say online, what you can criticise. Dissent will no longer be allowed. And there doesn't seem to be much we can do about that. The right of protest is being restricted with more rules and regulations and legislation. So the freedom to do simple things like think and talk have already been stripped away. The freedom to walk in the woods, through a field, something I've always enjoyed. I used to walk my dog for miles through open fields. I can't do that anymore, at least not where I used to. It's been bought by a corporation. They don't seem to be doing anything with it. but it's fenced, private property. And I've discussed in other videos how this is becoming more and more commonplace. How woodlands are being bought to offset carbon, to allow large globalist corporations to continue to fly in jets and have fleets of cars. Just another freedom taken away. When I was younger, the word freedom used to be synonymous with fun. And I think about the times when my kids were younger and we'd get in the car and drive down to the coast. Just a day at the seaside. Good memories. And you see, our government's very clever. It doesn't ban things. It just ensures that you can no longer do them. They won't ban you going to the seaside. They won't ban you bundling up your kids and travelling down to the coast. What they'll do is take away your ability to get there. In 2030, there'll be no petrol or diesel cars sold in this country. No new ones. That will put the price of second-hand cars through the roof. This is already happening. A few years ago, you could buy a car with a little bit of MOT on it, £400 or £500. You'll be lucky to find one for under £1,000 today. When there's no new cars being sold, those old cars will become very, very valuable and out of the reach of most people. Now, they'll tell you that the reason they're doing this is so that you will switch from your petrol or your diesel car to an electric vehicle. Now, anyone who's looked into that at all will understand that not everyone can have an electric vehicle, even in this very small country. The national grid doesn't produce enough electricity to charge all of those vehicles. In reality, they don't want you to have private transportation. So as much as they're not going to ban you taking the kids to the seaside, they're going to make it nearly impossible for you to get there. These freedoms, these pleasures, the fun, the things that make life worth living, from a simple walk through the countryside to taking the kids to the beach at the weekend, to be able to voice your opinion without being imprisoned. They will be gone. We know what they want. The 20-minute neighbourhoods, 15-minute cities, isn't pie in the sky. It's a control mechanism that is going ahead. Regardless of us shouting and stamping our feet, this has already been decided. It doesn't matter who you vote for. It's already been decided. I read with disbelief Labour's announcement, should they come to power, was to start enacting compulsory purchase orders on large swathes of land to build thousands upon thousands of homes for the thousands upon thousands of migrants. And even at the macro level, front page news of the local paper, applauding the local council who had given funding to build several new houses. Now you'd think that councils building houses would be a good thing, and it probably is. But those hundreds and hundreds of people that have been sat on that council waiting list for years weren't given those houses. They were given to refugees to live in forever. Somewhere along the line, we've gone wrong. We've been misled. We've been lied to. We've been manipulated. We need to come together and push back. We need to take back as much of our land and our freedoms as we can. Because as much as I am seeing this creeping in now, my kids and my grandkids are going to have to live under tyranny if I do nothing about it. So the time for doing nothing is over. I hope you'll all join me on the 14th. Together, we're much, much stronger. And collectivizing is something that terrifies our opposition. I'll see you on that website on the 14th. This is where we start to take it back. See you later, people.